Segregationists in particular weaponized the filibuster by blocking civil rights bills, including by notoriously defeating anti-lynching legislation in the 1930s after 30 days of debate. By the mid-1900s, filibusters entered the political mainstream. Some famous examples include Senator Huey P. Long's 15-hour filibuster in the 1930s, and Oregon's Wayne Morse holding the floor for 22 and a half hours in 1953 over an oil rig. The longest individual speech came in 1957, when South Carolina's Strom Thurmond spoke 24 hours and 18 minutes straight, trying to block the Civil Rights Act of 1957. Now, Thurmond's effort ultimately failed. The bill passed, but it set a record at the time, a record that was held until April 2025. When New Jersey Senator Cory Booker delivered a 25-hour and 5-minute speech protesting the Trump administration. So he now holds the longest single senator filibuster on record, a generational Strom Thurmond L. These frustrations with the filibusters led to major reforms in the 1970s. In 1975, the Senate lowered the threshold from 2/3 to 3/5. Now, only 60 senators are required to end debate on most matters. But another usually overlooked change came in 1972. It was a new method called two-track Senate proceedings. I know that sounds boring and complicated, but stay with me here. This is really important. This rule basically allowed bills that were being filibustered to be put on hold for other Senate business. Before dual tracking, a filibuster would tie up all Senate business until resolved. After this passed, the Senate could set aside the filibustered item and move to other agenda items. This reform was meant to use floor time more efficiently, but it ironically made filibusters painless for the minority. They no longer had to hold the floor and stall all business to block a bill. Thus emerged the modern silent filibuster, where merely threatening to filibuster is enough to stall a bill without any marathon speech. So these days, if you're hearing a senator read green eggs or ham or whatever up on the podium, know that they're doing it for sure. Now, since the 1980s, the use of the filibuster has exploded. The number of attempts to break filibusters has risen dramatically in the last 30 years. Get this, more votes to end filibusters were filed in the last 2 decades than in the 80 years prior. What was once a rare tactic reserved for a few big issues has become pretty much routine. A 60-vote supermajority is now de facto required for most legislation in the Senate. But despite the tactic basically being around since Aaron Burr, this is not how the Senate worked for most of the country's history. But both parties in the minority have increasingly used the filibuster to impose gridlock when it suits them. So in response, the majority has occasionally carved out exceptions. In 2013, after repeated filibusters of President Obama's nominees, the Democratic majority used the nuclear option to establish a new precedent. Executive branch appointments and federal judicial nominees, pretty much everyone except the Supreme Court, could be confirmed by a simple majority